Should the government fund religious schools? And how can the courts balance the Establishment Clause with the Free Exercise Clause to answer this question? Welcome to Thursday's Child. I'm Keisha Toni, a former teacher turned constitutional lawyer, here to bring you your weekly lesson on the law. Now let's get started. The First Amendment of the United States says that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. These clauses are known as the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause, or sometimes referred to collectively as the religion clauses. Historically, the Establishment Clause was meant to protect us from the establishment of a mandated religion, meaning that the government could not mandate a certain religion and require all of us to follow that religion. But over the years, many have pushed the boundaries of the Establishment Clause, concluding that whenever the government even funds anything religious, that's a violation of the Free Exercise Clause. And the courts have struggled to find the balance between the two. A really good example of how the courts struggle sometimes to find the balance between the religion clauses is a case from June 2020 called Espinoza. In Espinoza, Montana created a school voucher program for parents to use at any private school of their choice, but Montana prohibited parents from using their vouchers at any religious schools. Now, Montana defended its decision because within its constitution, it has what it called a no-aid provision. And that no-aid provision said that the state will not provide any funds to any religious activities. Now, a lot of states actually have similar provisions in their constitution. So the question before the Supreme Court was, if Montana was going to fund private schools, does it have to fund religious schools too? And the Supreme Court decided 5-4, yes, it does. And the Supreme Court said if Montana decides to fund private schools, it has to fund religious schools. The reason being that if it doesn't, this amounts to religious hostility because it's excluding religious schools from a publicly available benefit solely on the basis of religious character. Now, this decision was heavily contested, or at least criticized, because a lot of people said, well, just because a state doesn't want to fund religion doesn't mean it's being hostile to religion, does it? Well, the implications of this decision are actually pretty broad. And the reason for that is a lot of states, like I said, have these no-aid provisions. Now, these provisions are commonly known as Blaine Amendments, and about 38 states have them. And again, these provisions say that the state will not provide public funds to religious activity. And so if 38 states have these Blaine Amendments, that means this decision will likely limit the way the Blaine Amendments can be applied in the future. And at least in terms of this decision, it limits the application of those amendments to private religious schools. So what do you think? Should the government be required to fund religious schools if it's going to fund private schools? Should the government be prohibited from funding any religious activity ever? Let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, I'm Keisha Toni. This is Thursday's Child. See you next week.